working on quite a bit is actually materials.
Did you get a good shot?
So the main material in this project, there are a couple of things that I made and some that are harder to find or see because they've been transformed. So the main material is the fire hose. And it's actually a material that we're trying to I started working on with the fire hose as a material in the 90s. And it was a material for me that dialogue this idea of horror and fire. It's a material that somehow coordinates these two elements materials. So order and fire. And it's also a material that you associate with salvation, right? Firemen and saving lives. So I had done two projects actually. One was Amazing Grace, where it's kind of tertiary material where we see dialogue with these basically these baby strollers that I recovered from the streets. And then another one is called Exodus, where I actually use the fire hose as vessels.
Just there, yeah? You're just going to be there.
To put things in for me transformed and metaphorically
we'll see that.
So again, both of those pieces were early works in the 90s. And I didn't really plan to come back and work in fire hose here, but what happened was when I came for a site visit in the fall season, I didn't realize, and I've been here before for other exhibitions. Massimiliano's done, put together for, I think it's George Condo. And I didn't notice that there's a little fire department as you walk up the hill. And I said, oh, it's the fire department. Let me see what their fire department is like. Because I actually lived across the street, my studio was across the street from a fire station in Harlem. And I live in a fire station. So I was curious what their fire station is like. So I was able to get access. And what was really interesting that all their fire hoses were red. And I think that on a formal level, I was really excited about it. In New York, our fire hoses are gray. They're almost that kind of gray color, like stones. So very different. And I said, oh, well, what could I do with red? And so that was a challenge, but also an opportunity. So you'll see the red fire hose. And again, I was thinking about materials of material associated transformation. So the idea then was like, where do I want to take this? And so this gives me another part of the story, which I was thinking about incorporating. So this, when Doc was approaching me, it was a time when we had Jamaica, I was from Jamaica. We had just had Hurricane Melissa came through. So I was, and we were trying to recover from this massive trauma of the hurricane. And so Jamaica was on my mind a lot. And I was thinking I wanted to do something in dialogue with Jamaica in some capacities. So I started researching, and one thing that came up was I remember there was a concert that Bob Marley had done called Smile Jamaica.
Why would we do it?
1976. And it was a concert where he was trying to bring these two political parties together, trying to bring peace. And unfortunately, he was shot a few days before, but he still went ahead with the concert, and so it's kind of a triumphal concert. One song that he sung in the concert that really stayed with whenever he did research on that concert was this song called War. And this song War, Bob Marley's War, was actually a song inspired by Haile Selassie's speech to the United Nations. He did a speech to the United Nations in 1963 where he talked about global unity. It was in the era of the fascism, and he was really talking about how we as human beings would never really live up to our expectations unless we figure out how to live together in peace and harmony. So I felt like this speech was so pivotal to think about at this moment, and the way he phrased the speech was very poetic. So I wanted to revisit the speech, but the idea was to, in this exhibition, the idea is that I commissioned and collaborated with a Afro-Greek musician to look at the speech and reinterpret it in a contemporary manner. And the thing about it is, what really led me to this was I wanted initially was to think about reggae, bringing reggae in. And Dacus mentioned, we were in the car, Dacus mentioned, oh, in Greece we have our own sort of folk music, and it's called rebetiko. And I've never heard rebetiko before. And he says, yeah, it's a music that was mostly from the sort of marginalized community at the time. Now it's becoming a center and part of the history. But I thought, okay, let me look into this rebetiko. And so when somebody told me about this Afro-Greek musician who sings rebetiko and some reggae, I decided I wanted to ask him to look at the speech and make his own interpretation of it. And so what you see there with the speakers, we'll play a performance later where Angelo, the musician, will be playing his interpretation of the speech. And the speech is what you're seeing on the top of this room that has a fire hose. So there's phrases from the speech that are sort of put in almost like as a, I was thinking of it as almost like a space of travel, right? Where you go into a terminal and you just text of what's going on, departures and arrivals. So the speech is sort of taking that format for the exhibition itself.
And after the performance, where will the speakers be playing?
So the speakers will be playing, we already recorded a version of the speech that he's done in the studio. So we'll take some of the live performance and merge it with the recorded one, and then the speakers will be playing that.
When will this
With this performance is tonight at 8.
No, but then will the speakers continue while
Yes.
the show is up?
Yeah. So the speakers
Next
are.
to the fire hose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So that.
near to the fire hose?
So the speakers are my ode to Jamaica because we have this sound system tradition of building these massive speakers that folks will bring out into the landscape and play for the community, and it becomes a way for the community to sort of come together. People sell things, they gather. So it's a really special activity that started to happen in Jamaica, and I think it's also what led to rap. The sound system culture led to rap music in this state. So I wanted to sort of weaken a nod to that culture as well.
Thank you, Nari.
Thank you.
Thank you.